Most people think buying a house only pays off after 10, 15, 20 years of homeownership. That's the conventional wisdom you hear from parents, from finance blogs, from your realtor. It's wrong. The real crossover point is closer to 4 years. Here's the actual math behind why, and where every number comes from. Same starting line, Zoran and Julian. Same $65,000 salary, same city, same year, same $20,000 saved in the bank. Zoran buys a $300,000 home, puts $20,000 down, about 7%, takes a 30-year mortgage at 6.5%. Principal and interest alone, $1,770 a month. Add property taxes, insurance, PMI since the down payment is under 20%, and basic maintenance, and Zoran's real monthly cost lands around $2,300. Julian rents a comparable apartment for $1,800 a month. That's $500 less than Zoran pays every month. Julian invests that $500 monthly gap, and to keep this a fair comparison, also invests the same $20,000 Zoran used as a down payment as a lump sum on day one. Both index funds, averaging 7% a year, which is close to the long-run historical average for the S&P 500. Year one, Julian is ahead, and by more than you'd think. After year one, Zoran's home is worth about $310,500, thanks to 3.5% average annual appreciation. But Zoran still owes roughly $277,000 on the mortgage. Remember, in the early years, most of each payment goes to interest, not principal. That leaves Zoran about $33,600 in equity. Sell the house and pay the typical 6% in agent fees and closing costs, and Zoran's actual take-home is closer to $15,000. Julian, meanwhile, already has the $20,000 lump sum growing, plus a year of $500 monthly contributions. Total after year one, roughly $27,600. Julian is ahead by about $12,600. This is the part almost nobody shows you. In year one, renting and investing is the clearly better move on paper. Think of it like planting 2 trees on the same day. One tree, Julian's, grows fast right away. The other, Zoran's, barely seems to grow at first. Most of the nutrients are going into the roots you can't see yet. Year 3, the race gets close. By year 3, Zoran's home has appreciated to about $332,600, and the mortgage balance has dropped to roughly $270,000. After selling costs, Zoran's net position is about $42,700. Julian's investments, lump sum plus 3 years of $500 a month, have grown to about $44,450. Julian is still technically ahead, but only by around $1,800. The gap that was $12,600 in year one has nearly closed entirely. This is the actual moment the race becomes a coin flip. Year 4, the crossover. This is where it flips. Not year 8, not year 10. Year 4. Zoran's home is now worth about $344,300. Mortgage balance? Roughly $266,000. Net position after selling costs? About $57,500. Julian's total? Roughly $53,800. Zoran pulls ahead by about $3,700. Small, but it's the actual crossover point, and it happens far earlier than most people assume. Once you understand why, it makes complete sense. Why it happens so fast. Leverage, not time. Here's the mechanism, and it's simpler than it sounds. Zoran only ever put in $20,000 of actual cash, but the appreciation Zoran earns applies to the entire $300,000 purchase price, not just the $20,000 down payment. Picture it like this. Imagine you and a friend both want to bet on the same horse. Your friend pays $300 up front. You only have $20, so a bank fronts you the other $280 and just charges you interest on it. If that horse wins and the payout is based on the full $300 bet, you keep just as much winnings as your friend, even though you only risk $20 of your own money. That's exactly what a mortgage does. Zoran's $20,000 controls a $300,000 asset. Every dollar that home appreciates benefits Zoran as if the full $300,000 were Zoran's own money, because it effectively is once the bank fronts the rest. That's why the advantage shows up so early. It's not something that builds slowly over decades. It's baked into the deal from day one. It just takes a few years for it to outrun the upfront costs of buying. The closing costs, the slow start on principal paydown. Julian's investments, by contrast, only ever grow based on what Julian actually put in. No borrowed money multiplying the returns. Solid, steady, unleveraged growth. Years 5 through 20, the gap widens every year. Once the crossover happens, it doesn't slow down. Both advantages Zoran has keep compounding at the same time. By year 5, Zoran's net position is about $72,900 versus Julian's roughly $63,700, a gap of about $92,000. By year 7, Zoran is at about $105,700, Julian at about $85,800. The gap has grown to nearly $20,000. By year 20, Zoran's home is worth close to $597,000, with a remaining mortgage balance of about $156,000. That's roughly $441,000 in equity, or about $405,000 after selling costs. Julian, after 20 years of 500 monthly contributions plus the original lump sum, ends up with roughly $332,000. The final gap? About $73,000 in Zoran's favor. The honest caveats. A few things worth being upfront about, because this isn't a universal law. If home prices in your market appreciate slower than 3.5% a year, that crossover point moves much later, potentially past year 10. If mortgage rates are meaningfully higher than 6.5%, Zoran's monthly cost rises, delaying the crossover. If Julian's rent stays unusually flat for years, rare, but it happens in some rent-controlled markets, renting can stay ahead much longer. And a single major repair, a new roof, a failed HVAC system, can knock years off Zoran's head start in one hit. This script also assumes Julian keeps investing a flat $500 a month for all 20 years. In reality, rent tends to rise roughly 3% a year, which would shrink that monthly investable amount over time, meaning Julian's real-world total would likely be somewhat lower than $332,000, and Zoran's advantage would show up even sooner than year 4 in many cities. The real takeaway isn't that buying eventually wins. Plenty of people already assume that. It's how fast it wins, and why. It's not because houses are magical investments. It's because a mortgage is one of the only ways an average person can control a large, appreciating asset using mostly someone else's money. And that leverage starts working from the very first year, even if it takes a few years to catch up to renting's early head start. If you're renting and investing the difference, you're not making a mistake. You're just playing a different, unleveraged game. Just know the actual number where the two paths cross in your own city, your own rate, and your own numbers. Because eventually is doing a lot of work in most people's assumptions, and the real answer is usually sooner than they think.